Record, recording in progress.
Yep, that'll do it.
Perfect. Now, there I am. Perfect. Am I muted?
Nah, you're good. You can hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, we're live.
Cool. Is it dark?
Yeah, you're a little dark, but I'm my screen is pretty dark too.
Alrighty, this is going to be the trial and error, guys. We have not done a podcast on Zoom, so this will let us know how we can go about it. Anyways, I was talking to Zay over the phone and we decided this would be a good idea. The topic we wanted to touch on was purpose, you know, because different people, a lot of people have a struggle within life to find purpose, or they think that they failed to find purpose, or whatever the case may be. And I was just mentioning to Zay before we got on Zoom that I believe that if you believe you lack purpose, it's because of the reason that you whatever it is that you're doing, you're not doing with a purpose. Because you can be working a 9 to 5 that you absolutely hate, but at the end of the day, if that 9 to 5 has a greater transcendence or a greater purpose behind it, you will find purpose within it. So I believe personally that work comes first, purpose comes after. You will always find purpose after doing the things that you know you should be doing. And so if you're going to work at a 9 to 5, which you hate, you can't stand it, and you're just working there to get a paycheck, and when you get the paycheck, you're blowing it on material things, like shoes that you don't need, or a car that makes you feel happy or made you feel happy when you purchased it, but you don't really care for it anymore, or that feeling you got when you purchased it is gone, or you're going to the club and buying drinks, whatever, you're blowing your money on mundane things that don't even matter. Your purpose will start to deteriorate because you don't have purpose within that job. You have a job you hate and you're not using it for a greater good. But if you use that same job for a greater purpose, such as maybe you have a goal to buy a house, maybe you have a goal to retire your mom, maybe you want to help pay for your mom's LASIK surgery, maybe you want to help get your sister through school, whatever the scenario might be where it has a greater transcendence, you will find purpose in going to that 9 to 5, because you might hate that 9 to 5, but at the end of the day, you know that this is for something greater. And so, whatever it is that you're doing must always transcend into something greater. And when you start to do that, I really do believe that you start to find greater purpose, because you start to realize what it is that you don't want to do. I don't want to be at this 9 to 5. I don't want to work here for the rest of my life. I don't want to be part of this crowd. I want meaning. And so you start to gravitate towards things that align with that. So, what's your take on that, Zay?
Yeah, I agree. It reminds me of that book, A Man's Search for Meaning, the Dr. Viktor Frankl, and I would recommend everybody to go read that book or at least do some research on the man because he was a psychologist or a psychiatrist. He was already a doctor and doctor of the mind, and then he gets put in these Nazi Germany Holocaust camps. And so he's basically studying people the whole time he's going through that camp, as long with studying himself. And what he what he what he says in A Man's Search for Meaning, he says it's so important to find purpose because imagine if you woke up every day and felt like you were useless, felt like you had no purpose, felt like there was nothing for you to contribute to, felt like there was nothing for you to do. He believed that's where the root of depression and sadness and anxiety came from, was in not feeling like you're not fitting in because you have no purpose. You don't have an object, you don't have a goal. I mean, if I woke up every day and didn't know what I wanted to do or felt like I wasn't contributing to mankind in any way, I might be down too. And he called it an existential vacuum. which
Yes.
means you're living in a vacuum, like a black hole vacuum, because you have no purpose. And that's why he was saying it's so important for a man to search for meaning. And like you said, to find purpose in anything. And I seen myself go through that same exact loop because when I first started doing this work, I knew it wasn't what I wanted to be doing. But over the years, I started to shift my mindset to, okay, what is this teaching me? What can I learn in this environment? I need to master this environment in order to move on to the next. What can I learn from these people? What can I learn from how they do conduct their business? So just like you say, finding purpose in your situation right now can help you, because then you start to find yourself, you start to find what your morals are, what your principles are, like you say, what you like and don't like. And that's really important because once you start to figure out who you are, then you can start to maybe figure out what you actually want to do.
That's a huge point you just made there. When you start to figure out who it is that you are, you start to find different purpose because if you don't know who you are, you can't even begin to look at what your purpose is, quote unquote purpose, because you don't even know who it is that you are. So that might take you actually going regressing and rather than finding purpose, find the bigger picture. Who am I? Why do I feel like God put me on this planet? And so and when you begin to ask these deeper questions, I believe you start to get deeper answers. But if you never actually go searching for the answer, you're never going to get to the conclusion of what it is that you personally believe is your greater contribution to life, to this planet. Because, some people will say that there's no purpose, that you're just here to live, and that's their dilemma, and that's their prerogative. They're just gonna stay here and live and buy materialistic things and go out and party and do drugs and live life, and they think that that's what life is. And if you were to try to argue with somebody who has that type of lifestyle, they would so tell you that you're wrong because they believe they're right for living the way that they're living. So really, finding purpose starts within finding yourself. Because
Yeah,
if you don't know who it is that you are, you can't possibly figure out what it is that you're supposed to be doing. What you're supposed to be doing derives from the knowledge of understanding who it is that you are, what your morality is, what your values are, what you will and won't stand for, things of that nature. So I think that point was huge.
yeah, 1,000%. One of the other things it reminds me of is how you mentioned the asking questions. As I've been on this journey and sought wise counsel and things like that and read more books and stuff, I got a mentor right now who he says questions will take you anywhere you want to go if you ask the right questions. And then I'm reading this book on greatness, a greatness mindset book by an author name, I think his name is Lewis Hamilton or something along those lines. But he also says ask courageous questions, and through self-assessment and asking yourself questions, that's how you can get to know yourself on a deeper level. And also level up from a standpoint of what did I do last week? What didn't I do? What are my goals? What are my objectives? It all comes from asking questions and actually sitting down with yourself and answering these questions. I like to say, in high school and college and okay, zero kindergarten through 12th grade, we did 13 years of school. That's 13 years. And we took math, we took science, we took social studies, we took chemistry, we took algebra, we took trigonometry, we took English, we took arts and psychology and PE and all these things. We took weights. But when have we ever sat down and took a class on ourselves? You know what I mean? Took time to actually sit with ourselves and ask ourselves questions to learn ourselves. And I think that's the most important thing somebody can do because a lot of the times you'll realize once you sit with yourself, by yourself, in your own energy, your own thoughts, you realize how much thoughts and beliefs you've accepted from people that you don't even truly believe in.
Yeah, that's a deep point right there. Because most of us are really just programmed to be who it is that we are based on the past programming we received from our parents, from our friends, from our environment, and a lot of people don't even understand that they actually are just the programming of the son of the sum of the people that they spent their life around. And so that's where that deep question comes into. If you want to find purpose, you must find yourself. And by finding yourself, you have to ask the deep questions, the hard questions, the things that a lot of people try to avoid. A lot of people do try to avoid it. And I think that that comes from the insecurity of being afraid that they don't actually know who it is that they are, and they aren't willing to put in the work to find out who it is that they are. So, but the other thing we were talking about earlier was we mentioned that, let's say you find purpose, right? You also have to be able to be conscientious enough to understand, like when it comes to making money, for example, you have to be conscientious enough to understand when enough is enough, because there's going to be a thin line between, you have what you want, and then yet you still want to go and climb the next mountain. Like the example I used for him was, if I were to have $10 million cash and the life, that I wanted to do whatever it is that I want to do with it, I don't know that I'd trade places with Elon Musk. Not he's worth, close to 400 billion, and that number sounds crazy, and he's powerful and influential and all this stuff. But what the meaning in me and being successful means is being able to do what I want when I want, spending my time however I want with who I want, being able to provide for my family, being able to do things that bring joy to me, not having to, if you think about what Elon Musk is doing, a lot of his time is already taken up by other people that he owes, a responsibility to, whether that's, in government with what he's doing in Doge, or his company with Tesla, or the Boring Company, or SpaceX, and I think he's got a couple of others. But his day is already like 16 hours taken up. He's got, I think, like 14 kids with 8 different women, something like that. And to me, that just is not success in what I would define success. He has all the money in the world, but I believe that his life and the way he's living it would not be something that caters to me. And so you got to be able to find, what is it that you call success? What is it that you call living? What is it that you call being blessed in every way? And if that means that you would like to have $400 billion, but 80% of your time be taken up. And I'm just talking for me, because at the end of the day, that man must love what he does. He must be built and wired a different way, but it just ain't me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like we say, everybody's different and everybody has different versions of success and versions of when enough is enough. And I think that all just comes down to what you want and sitting down and asking yourself those questions. It's all going to come back to sitting down and asking yourself, what do I really want? How much money do I really want? Do I even care about money? Do I want to live a simple life? Am I just happy with my family happy, my bills paid, and I'm just here. And that's great, if that's what you want, that's your version of success. There's nobody that can tell you whether you're right or wrong when it comes to your definition of greatness, success, financial freedom, your definition of purpose, your definition of your mission, your definition of nobody can tell you you're right or wrong. That has to come from within. And that's why I think that's where a lot of people get hung up is they get so caught up on everybody else's ideologies and their beliefs and their definition of success, their version of what a mission is, their version of what a purpose is, their version of what a good job is, their version of what a good life is. Like, no, sit down and really sit in silence and sit with your creator and really ask yourself, just you in your own energy, ask these questions, because if you don't, then 50 years are going to go by and you're going to realize you never lived your life. You lived other people's lives and you built other people's dreams, and things like that. It's just going to pass by. Basically, self-assessment is like becoming present in the now with who you truly are. It's about looking in the mirror, getting real with yourself, and saying, okay, if I want to get somewhere, I have to first know where I am.
Yeah. If you don't know where you are, if you don't know where you currently are, you could never, how could you possibly know where you're going? You
Mhm.
have to know where it is that you currently are, and you have to actually have the hard conversation with yourself of being brutally honest and not just trying to brush shit on, under the rug to try to make yourself feel better about the life that you currently have, even though it's not the one that you currently want. So self-assessment is going to be huge for you guys. You guys are going to have to ask the questions that you don't want to ask yourself. And if you don't want to ask yourself the questions, it's because you're afraid of the answer. But
Mhm.
how can you fix that if you keep running away from it? You got to stop running from it and you got to start running towards it. You know, one thing that 50 Cent taught me that changed my life in a different direction at one point in time was he said I had to stop being afraid of my aggressor. And so even though I felt afraid, I had to become the aggressor. I had to go after my aggressor because he got shot 9 times and he was afraid to even run around the block because the people that shot him were still living around there. But he had to overcome that fear and run towards it. And when you stop being, the victim and start being the aggressor, your life starts to change in a whole different way. And so that reminds me of that right now, because if you're running away from the answers because you're afraid of what the answers are, rather than running away from them and being a victim, you need to run towards them. You need to stop. You need to feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear of I'm not where I want to be. Feel the fear of this sucks. I feel bad that I'm not where I want to be. Feel the fear of, man, this is embarrassing, or whatever fear you're having, and you need to run towards it and fix it. Why am I not where I want to be? What decisions have I been making that haven't got me there? What kind of lifestyle have I been? Some people pretend to live a certain lifestyle. They pretend to live a certain lifestyle and then they're living paycheck to paycheck behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? And they might not be wanting to live that life, but they want to keep up with the Joneses and they want to be on Instagram flexing and looking like they got it. And oh my God, what are people going to think if I don't drive this car? What are people going to think if I don't live in the house? What are my parents going to say if I don't have this? What are things like that? And at the end of the day, that's literally
That's that
you.
that's validation.
It's validation. You're just seeking external validation. Internal validation is what matters. External validation is whatever.
Yeah, bro, and I'm glad you said that about the defensive and being the aggressor because I myself have always been a really defensive person, and I noticed that's paralyzing. And
Yeah.
I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. Boxing and martial arts has helped me so much because you learn the balance between offense and defense. How important it is that you are the aggressor as much as you are a defender. You have to have this of both work. You can't have one without the other. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, if that's literally what it comes down to, guys, is self-assessment, being real with oneself, being genuine, actually wanting change, becoming the change, seeking the answers, running towards the answers, not running away from them, and playing offense as much as you play defense. Because some of you spent your whole life playing defense. You don't even know what it's like to play offense.
Man, that was me, bro. That was me. I could relate to that personally. Just so cautious and so, you know, don't really want to take too many risks or whatever it may be. But you gotta be bold. You gotta be bold out here.
Success is
You
for
gotta,
the bold. Greatness is for
you
the bold. You know, uh,
gotta be bold if you want to do something different.
I read a quote by Napoleon the other day and it really hit home. Napoleon said, greatness, I don't want to butcher it. I don't want to butcher it, but let me look it up so I don't butcher it.
Yeah, and even reading also is just seeking wiser counsel and constantly filling your mind with different perspectives and different viewpoints, because you guys can be thinking about the same situation, but see it from two different perspectives. And you might see an artist say something and you're like, dang, I was in that same situation. I just never thought of it like that, you know? And also traveling, exposing yourself to new environments is so important. I was just on a tour of Miami and seeing $100 million yachts and $90 million houses on islands and $40 million houses, and these aren't even their real houses. These are just houses on display, almost like trophies.
Yeah,
And and it's so important to expose yourself to different things, because I'd imagine, most people would never even fathom having that much money, let alone spending it on a house or a yacht or a toy. You kind of have to see these things to know that it's attainable or know that it's possible. Otherwise, you're just kind of in a circle of influence and that's all you know. But it's so important to expose yourself to things that maybe you've never seen before, never heard before, because
yeah, for
now
sure.
these things are possible.
And you got to know that it is possible. I can't find the exact quote, but essentially what he was saying is that greatness doesn't last. It keeps fading away. And so the rent on greatness is due every single day. Every single day you must pay the rent to be great. If you get a even when you become successful, let's say when you get the body that you want, that's not just it. You don't just get the body that you want and that's it. You have to keep working out every
And
day or whatever every day to maintain that body. If you get the woman of your dreams, you don't just get her and that's it. You have to continue to romance and take her out and be loving and spend time with one another and discuss deeper conversations to keep that flame alive, to be representative of you guys living, happily ever after. If you have a business and you have a very successful business, you don't just get it and that's it. You have to be working every day to maintain that business. Whether if it's you there or you hiring the people to be there, you still have to oversee it. Otherwise, that business will deteriorate. And so, greatness doesn't just happen and then that's it. You just are great because you reach the level. Essentially, once you reach whatever you think purpose is, whatever greatness is for you, you have to maintain it. And so that's where
and
finding
also
purpose in it. Go ahead.
and also maintenance is just if you want to stay the same. If you want to go up, there's a whole nother level.
Yep.
That you never truly arrive at anything unless you plateau and say, this is where I'm at, this is where I'm gonna stay. I'm grateful, I'm good, I'm comfortable right here. This is where I'm gonna stay. And unfortunately, most people do live their life that way. A way somebody put ownership or entrepreneurship or passive income was like a hockey stick. If you if you look at a hockey stick and it's upright, it's in the regular L shape, that's somebody who got a good job early. Say they got a good career and they're making 100K or whatever. They plateau and it seems like at a young age that they're ahead of you. They plateau, they go up and they plateau, but then they just stay there. That's it. They're gonna probably get a couple more raises, but they're not gonna go any higher. But if you flip the hockey stick around, that's entrepreneurship and ownership, because once you start to go up, there's no limit to how far you can go up.
That's a
And
fact.
and that's the difference between ownership and sales and running a business and passive income compared to just a 9 to 5. You have a ceiling there, but
Yep.
once you have a product, or once you have something that can generate while you sleep or whatever that is, there's no ceilings. You know what I mean?
I think everybody should take up sales. Sales is one of the most beautiful things, and a lot of people look at sales as a bad thing. You look at car salesmen and you think, icky. Anybody who's trying to sell you on anything, you almost think less of them in some way, shape, or form. But in reality, everything is sales. Everything in life is sales. Everything you're looking at had some sort of sale in it. Your
Mm-hmm.
phone, your bed, your house, the food you eat. Look at everything that you're doing in your life. It had sales in it. And so you're either a consumer or you're a producer. What's you don't even have to produce the product to be able to sell it. You just have to be able to have something of value to fucking sell it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
don't have to you don't have to come up with the next fucking, greatest thing in order to make money. Find somebody who already did and get a commission for selling their product. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I've heard so many people, and myself included, I suffered from this also, is that you feel like you have to be at a certain level before you put yourself out there. I know so many people who want to do personal training, who want to do lifting, who want to do uh, certain businesses, and they say, "Well, I feel like I'm just not ready yet." With the knowledge and where I am, I feel like I have to work harder, then I could put myself out there. And
Yep.
that may be true to a certain extent, but the reality of it is you have to understand that you're enough right now, and then you're gonna become better.
That's a
And
hundred
that,
percent true. You can't wait for all the air to be the right temperature and the breeze to be blowing at the correct degree and for your eyes to be the correct color and for your mama to love you on the correct day. You just got to get started, guys. You just got to get started and figure it out as you go. That's how the
yeah,
best things in my life happen. I just started and figured it out as I went. I've never been one to just sit there and, oh, this got to be right. That's good. One thing that I have been blessed with in my life is the ability to just do and figure out as I go. I have never been afraid to fail. I've never been afraid to fail because I've always had to take chances in my life. And so my limit, my tolerance for pain and failure is very high because I don't look at pain and failure from the same lens that most of you guys do. Most of you guys are afraid that you might fail. I always say, don't think what if I fail. Think even if I fail. There's a difference in that. What if I fail sounds like, oh, well, what if this? And you're timid of it. Even if takes all that out of the equation and lets you know that even if I do fail, this is how I'm going to react to that. Because you
and
should
the only
expect it. You should expect it. Failure is going
and
to happen. It's not what if it happens. You're going to fucking fail. That's a fact. I can guarantee it. I can guarantee you will fail. And if you are one of the God given talents that did not fail at their first attempt and you made things happen, you are different. You are blessed. But I can guarantee you that for 99% of the population, we are not. We will fail. We will know what struggle is like. And we must learn to get up and brush ourselves up and keep going. That's what makes
yeah,
the difference.
and it's important how you frame it also, because failure seems like this big bad thing. Oh, I'm a failure. I'm this. I'm that. The only way to fail is not to try.
Yeah, yeah, literally.
Because if you're not trying, okay, now you're a failure. But if you're doing something and you're running into a wall, you're getting knocked down and you get back up and learn from that lesson, that's fair. You have to, like Denzel Washington said, you have to fail forward.
That's my
And I
favorite
like the
quote
way
by, yeah, that's one of my favorite quotes by Denzel. Fail
and
forward.
I like the way he said that, because this we look at these words, and how, depending on how we frame them, we look at them as these big bad things, these big bad wolves that come and blow the house down.
Yep.
But the reality of it is, as long as you keep building, your house is gonna go from hay to paper to wood to brick to stone. You know what I mean? It's gonna get stronger and stronger. And that's why failure is the building blocks to where you want to go, because there's always another level. So you can't be afraid to suck. It's just like if you're learning a new instrument, you'll never be as good as you want to be, right? So there's always going to be another level. And when you try that thing you've never tried, when you try to play that chord you've never played before, when you try to learn that scale you've never learned before, you're going to have to go a little slower, and you're going to suck. You're going to suck. But as you get better, you know, and then look, you master that level, and then guess what? You suck at the next level. So what do? It's the same continuous cycle of growth that if you just look at as a natural cycle, instead of, oh, I failed, I suck. It's important how you frame things in your perspective.
Perspective is everything, man. Perspective is everything. How you frame things is everything. Because you're not just living your reality, you're living the reality you choose to focus on. And so if you choose to focus on all the negativity, all the pessimisticity, all the what ifs, all what if this happens, all what if that happens, but my friend failed, my friend says I could fail. If you focus on all that, your mind will automatically seek validation and finding justification for what it is that you seek. That's what
It's
it's
like
built to do.
it's like they say when teams are going to play undefeated teams, they lost before the game even started
Yep. They
because
lost.
they didn't
Exactly.
they didn't believe they could even win. They didn't even believe in the first place.
Exactly. It's like I always say, he who says he can and he who says he can't are both correct. If you don't believe you can do something, you've already lost the war before you've even started the battle because you don't truly believe you can do it. Everything that you want in life first must start up here. And that all wraps back, it goes full circle to who am I? Who am I? What are my values? What is my morality? What are my virtues? What is my vision? What do I want my life to look like? What don't I want my life to look like? Who do I see myself being in the next 5 to 10 years? What kind of company do I keep as that person? And begin to embody that reality in that person. Even if you are not that person now, the person that it is that you wish to be is what you need to start walking in. You need to start feeling that. How does that person talk? What time does that person go to sleep? How do they wake up? What kind of mood do they do their best to maintain? What kind of friends do they have? If I were to tell you guys that I didn't meet you guys ever in your life, I could only judge you based off of the 5 people you hang around. Would you leave your circumstances up to those 5 people?
Man, yep, it's all about the questions and identity. It's a whole identity shift. That person that needs to create that schedule that is going to be the best version of yourself is going to take a new identity. Whether you have to wake up earlier, whether you have to work out more, whether you have to learn more, read more, whether you have to get out your comfort zone and finally put yourself out there. That's a big barrier to overcome for a lot of people is only putting themselves out there. One of the big differences between me and Vic is he always had that to where he was like he didn't care. He was out there, he had no fear. He was putting himself out there recording videos, and I'm over here, hoodied up in the back corner like, dang bro, how you do that? You know what I mean? But it just comes with confidence and reps and knowing what you want. And then once you devote your life to serve others, you remove yourself from the equation. You got to get over yourself and realize you're not that important. Like it's not about you, it's bigger than you. So your little fear, your little pride, your little insecurity, your little ego, whatever it may be, it's if you devoted your life to serve other people, you can no longer let yourself get in the way.
Yeah, and take inspiration from Isaiah, guys, because I have seen this young man grow and develop from a long time now. And I was just thinking about it this morning. I said to him, "Hey, you remember when you came to my old house back in the day? It was like 2000, 21, 22, something like that." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I think I went there once." I was just thinking about like who he is now, his character, the way that he's developed as a man, how he's not shy to get on camera no more. He's still working on certain things, but if you were to be able to see what I have seen, you would be able to know that that's possible for you too. It is very possible for you too. If you are not a born leader, you can cultivate that within you. If you are not born being, outgoing, you can cultivate that within you. Whatever it is that you are not, whatever it is that you are lacking, you can cultivate that within you. That's the beautiful thing about being a human being. You don't have to be who you've always been. And that's a big dilemma, especially, in communities of, less fortune, or, coming from the hood, what people aspire to do is keep it real. What people aspire to do is never switch up. And it's like, why would you never want to switch up? Like, you work so hard to become a new person and you're supposed to stay who you've always been. It doesn't make any sense. That's where growth comes in. And I believe that naturally God made us humans to aspire, to want more, to be more, to do more.
To evolve, to adapt and evolve.
There you
And
go.
when he says, when people tell you never change, never switch up, there's a complete difference between being disloyal to your people or switching up on your family or stuff like that. No, that's not what he's referring to. He's referring to you growing and evolving in positive ways as an individual. You know, your growth, your maturity, your spirituality, mentality, physicality, that type of switching up. Not no snake stuff, fake stuff, you know. Because
No.
the way he put it is like, why would you not switch up? I'm like, hold on, what you mean? But no,
No,
I get what
yeah.
you're saying.
No,
I get what you're saying. But
the level of of energy and frequency I'm operating off of is way beyond that. So to me, I can see why, explaining it is necessary, but to me is like the way that I think, the way that I am operating off of, that's not that is a low
didn't
level.
even consider it.
Yeah, exactly. That's so low level that it's like, don't even spend time on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all
Right.
know you shouldn't be a fucking snake. We all know you shouldn't be, doing shit you're not supposed to be doing. Like, I'm telling you, when you elevate your mind to a certain different elevation, your vocabulary is just different. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah,
Let's
man.
leave them. Let's
We can
leave our
go.
audience with our last thoughts. Because we're gonna wrap it up here. We got about 2 minutes left on the Zoom call, so let's wrap it up. I think for my end, I just want you guys to remember the basics of why we did this call. We basically want to remind you that if you want to find purpose, you have to find purpose in the struggle. You have to find purpose in whatever it is that you're doing. You have to find purpose in the things that you don't like. And when you seek for purpose, you shall find. Seek and you shall find. It's not about just waking up one day and just being, fathomed with all this bliss and greatness, and now I have purpose and life is perfect. Because even when you find purpose, life is not going to be perfect, believe me. So find purpose in whatever it is that you're doing. Stop doing it just to do it. What's the bigger goal here?
Man, yep. Man, and what I'm gonna say is gonna wrap this every single episode we've ever done up, every single thing we've ever said. Jesus said, he who has ears, let them hear.
He who has ears, let them hear. All righty, guys. Looks
Let
like
them hear.
our time is almost up here. You guys are about to get cut off. We love y'all. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and we will be dropping a new episode soon. Good night, y'all.